Hello and welcome to the channel where I'm going to be discussing my commander deck, the Destined Party deck. This is a low power bracket 2, arguably bracket 1 themed deck based on the commander here, the Destined Warrior. This is an Esper based deck that is a 3/3 human warrior with first strike, vigilance, and menace, and party members cost 1 mana less to cast. If you are unfamiliar with what a party is, it is where you include a warrior, a cleric, a rogue, and a wizard, creature type, all on the field at the same time. Having a full party usually gives you a better benefit for cards that are included in that type of deck. So, Destined Warrior reduces the cost to cast those creatures, as well as having amazing keywords himself. Furthermore, at the beginning of combat on my turn, creatures I control will get +1/+0, but if I have a full party, all of my creatures will instead get +3/+0 until end of turn. Now that's fantastic. How did I go about and acquire this commander? Many people might not have ever seen this. This is actually part of a set of a scene box that you could have gotten at the end of 2025 for Final Fantasy 1 specifically. This is the Battle at the Chaos Shrine. On the screen you can see that there is the Destined Warrior in the center, followed by his Destined party members behind him, fighting over the Chaos Shrine with Garland, the Royal Kidnapper, defending it. Now, while these cards aren't based off of running a party, I did decide to include them because this is ultimately a theme deck. I decided to include every card, no matter how bad it was, that said Final Fantasy 1 to be included in the deck. I'll be discussing those cards in just a second, but let's continue on with the party itself, because the party is probably the most interesting cards in the deck. Next, we'll start with the Destined White Mage, who is very similar in the fact that it has an effect, but it gets better if you have a full party. It is a 2/3 human cleric lifelink. Pay 1 white mana, tap it. Another target creature you control will gain lifelink until end of turn, which is fantastic to have on your commander. Supposedly, if you get a huge party, you could be swinging with a 6 power creature that has great stats and keywords, so excellent to have lifelink on it. But whenever you gain life, you put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control. If you have a full party, you may instead put 3 +1/+1 counters on that creature instead. So again, benefiting you for having a full party, but in general is a great support piece for just the commander alone. Similarly, we have the Destined Black Mage, who is very similar to the Black Mage tokens that are found throughout the Final Fantasy set, but this one in particular is a 3/2 human wizard with Death Touch. Pay a black and tap it so that another target creature you control gains Death Touch until end of turn. That is a fantastic keyword to have with a first striking creature such as the commander, making it pretty much very hard to block effectively. Similarly, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it deals 1 damage to each opponent, but if you have a full party, it deals 3 damage to each opponent instead. Notably, this also does team up pretty well with the White Mage, because if you give lifelink to this creature, it is dealing damage, so therefore it would heal based off of all that damage it's doing. So another nice little synergy between the party there. The fourth and final party member included in this is the Destined Thief. He is a 2/2 human rogue, and he can't be blocked. You can pay a blue to tap him so that another target creature you control can't be blocked. Again, great with a very high-powered statted commander, getting some Voltron damage if need be. But whenever one or more creatures deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card, then discard a card. But if you have a full party, you instead just draw 3 cards. So nice card advantage built into that party member. Again, they are not main focuses of the deck, but Garland and the Chaos Shrine are being included for the sake of the mural in the deck. When Garland enters, he's a human knight, 3/4 for 4 mana. When he enters, target opponent becomes the monarch. Giving away the monarchy is not usually something a lot of cards do. I can only think of 3 off the top of my head, including him. But whenever an opponent becomes the monarch, you gain control of target creature that player controls for as long as they are the monarch. This is notably because he captures a princess so if they're royalty, you're capturing the princess, Creatures you control but don't own get +2/+2 and can't be sacrificed. So you can also use it as a nice little blocker or attacker. The Chaos Shrine is an interesting one. It's a legendary artifact for 4. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you exile it. Now, notably, this is a creature-heavy deck, so while being in black, there isn't too many revival, reanimate type spells. So this is an interesting one. Kind of built into an artifact. But at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a creature card that was exiled with this onto the battlefield with a finality counter on it. Finality counter meaning if it were to leave the battlefield via exile or death, it stays exiled. Which is fine for some creatures. It would be very sad to lose the destined party members themselves, but some of the backup characters having a second life isn't so bad. Now, like I said, this is a theme deck. I decided to take every available Final Fantasy 1 card that are in these colors and include it in the deck as a requirement. Obviously, if you're building a deck on your own, you can do whatever you'd like, but these are my restrictions and what I built the deck based off of around. So I'm going to start with this pile over here. We've got the Prophetic Beginning. It is the beginning of the game, so we're going to start with that. It is basically a reskin of Preordain, scry 2, then draw a card for just 1 blue mana. Great turn 1 play and would be very thematic. You can use the mana to cast that spell from Starting Town. Starting Town is a town, which is a land cycle that came from Final Fantasy, but it enters tapped unless it's your first, second, or third turn of the game. Very thematic. It can tap to add a colorless, or you can tap it to pay 1 life and add 1 mana of any color. Great in a 3-color or more deck. Next, we have a Phoenix Down, the classic staple of Final Fantasy, reviving your teammates that way, as it can get you a creature of mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Your mana curve on creatures on this deck are pretty low, so this actually works out really well, but it can also help you exile target skeleton, spirit, or zombie in a pinch. We do have an unfortunate include in the Adventurer's Airship. It is not a very great artifact in general, vehicle, whatever you want to call it, however you want to classify it. It is a flying 3/2 vehicle with crew 2. When it attacks, you draw and discard a card. It's fine. If you need a flying blocker or you need to get in some chip damage from something, it can do the job. Next, we have the World Map, which is also an unfortunate include because it's not the best card in the world, but it isn't too bad because it does get you a basic land card, which can help in 3-color deck to get all of your colors. You can also pay more mana into it later to get a very specific land and put it in your hand, so that's also nice for some of the utility lands that I'll be showing off later. Next, we have the weapon classes items. We have the Thief's Knife, the White Mage's Staff, and the Black Mage's Rod. They all essentially give similar effects to the 3 party members that we have here besides the Warrior. The Warrior was a red card, so I couldn't include it, but essentially they create a party member of that creature type as well as give an effect very similar and have an equip cost if you need to respec it onto something else. And lastly, we do have a removal spell, but it is Final Fantasy 1 themed. It deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control plus the number of equipment you control. This is a bit of a creature-heavy deck, so you'll expect to do about 4 or 5 damage when you cast this for only 2 mana, so it's not too bad. And while there is a few equipment, I wouldn't really count those. So those are our restricted cards that I decided to include specifically for the deck. But next, speaking of removal, we can go into that package. You have your standard removal with Path to Exile, Swords to Plowshares. I included Stroke of Midnight because I enjoy the fact that it can get rid of any non-land permanent, and it just gives them a 1/1 human, which most of your party can easily deal with, rather than, say, an elephant from Generous Gift. We also have a party-based counterspell in Concerted Defense. Counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 1, plus an additional 1 for each party member you have. So that includes, again, Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, or Wizard. So this could potentially make it so that you counterspell a non-creature spell for only 1 blue mana, and they have to pay 5 in order to be able to try to make that spell go through. So pretty decent. You have your standard counterspell. I tried not to include too many of these because I get it. Some people can get a little frustrated with it, and we're more looking to try to do our own thing. This is more just in case somebody's threatening to win the game. Speaking of, you are a very creature-heavy deck, so therefore I had to include a little bit of protection. I put in Unbreakable formation so that your creatures can gain Indestructible to help you survive through that board wipe. But if you also cast this when you are looking to close out the game, it can buff all your creatures and give them Vigilance to help with any potential crackbacks in case you don't end up finishing off your opponents. Speaking of more saving of your own creatures, we got Clever Concealment. I love this card. It's a shame it's so expensive, but you can use your creatures to help get it out as a surprise, but you can have your non-land permanents phase out with the help of casting this spell. So fantastic way to save your board from a board wipe. Next category, we're going to talk about some of the party members themselves. Again, that being Rogue, Warrior, Wizard, or Cleric. We're going to start with the Wizards. First, we got Quintus Trippe. If you are a Final Fantasy XIV player, or sorry, I can't read. I think that is 8. If you're a Final Fantasy 8 player, please do not kill me over the pronunciation, nor getting Roman numerals incorrect. But regardless, this has an ETB that when it enters, you can cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. And if it would be put in the graveyard from there, you'd just exile it. Yeah, not bad. And then it just kind of sits on the field and does the wizard thing. So that's pretty not bad. We got a Deep Gnome Terramancer. This is a fun one that came out from the Baldur's Gate set, where majority of the party stuff comes from. But we have a Flash 2/2 Gnome Wizard. Whenever one or more lands enter the battlefield under your opponent's control without being played, you can search your library for a plains card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Do it only once. So if they're cultivating, Kodama's reaching, rampant growthing, you name it, typical green ramp, or even just fetch lands, then you can pretty easily sneak this out and benefit yourself. We are in Esper, so we don't have access to green ourselves. So this is a nice way to land ramp, which is always nice. Similarly, we also have Bob. It's a form of card draw, and the fact that at the beginning of your upkeep, you'll reveal the top card of your library and put the top card into your hand. You lose life equal to the mana value. So again, this is a pretty low mana curve deck. I can't remember the exact number, but I believe it averages under 4 or 5, and that's not bad. So I think that's pretty worth drawing a card once in a while. Sometimes you'll just hit a land, which is fine as well. And lastly, for the Wizards, we have Linvala, Shield of the Seagate. She is a 3/3 Angel Wizard for 3 with flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, you choose target non-land permanent and opponent controls until your next turn. It can't attack or block, and its activated abilities can't be activated. So it shuts down whatever their biggest threat is, assuming you have a full party. And again, if you have a full party and you want to protect it, she has the ability to sacrifice herself to choose Hexproof or Indestructible and give your creatures that ability till end of turn. So she is very selfless in the fact that she can save your squad. Next, we're going to move on to the Rogue category. We're going to start with a Ghostly Pilferer. When it becomes untapped, you may pay 2 generic mana. If you do, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, draw a card. So that includes things like Commander or anything from Exile. God knows, Red has been getting a lot of that effect lately, so that's always going to be handy. And then you can discard a card so that it can't be blocked, so you can get some unblockable damage in if you need to. Speaking of, we have another 2 mana 2/1 Rogue. It can't be blocked as long as you played another creature type of the party members until end of turn. And then at the beginning of combat turn, if you have a full party, all of your creatures gain, whenever they deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. So if you can find a way to get them unblocked, like himself or your other thief here, you can easily get some card advantage off of this guy. We have a Glasspool Mimic, which is neat because it is actually a creature and a land on the back, but it's only if you need it just in case. But I like it because it can copy any other creature you control and stay as a rogue as well as the other creature types, so that you can double up on a really good effect that you may have from another party member. Speaking of really good effects, here is Grim Hireling, Tiefling Rogue 3/2 for 4 mana. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you create 2 treasure tokens. That applies per player. So if you hit all 3 of your opponents, you're going to be making 6 treasures, which is always great. And then it does have the nice little caveat of paying a black to sacrifice X treasures, and target creature gets -X till end of turn, only as a sorcery. So it can help you take care of a big threat if you accrue enough treasures over time. We also do have a form of a tutor in Varragoth Bloody Sky Sire, a 3-mana 2/3 demon rogue with Death Touch, which is always nice for a rogue to get in some damage. It has the ability of boasting, which is activate this ability only if this creature attacked this turn and only once each turn. You can do that at instant speed, but again, you have to be attacking with this specific creature to do so. Target player searches their library for a card, shuffles, puts it on top. So it's not an immediate tutor, but it can be handy. I've also had some political moments where you give your opponent the ability to do this so that they help take care of the threat sooner than you would be able to. So that's always a nice effect to have. Lastly, we have Nalia de Arnis, which is a Baldur's Gate character as well. 3-mana, 3/3 human rogue. You can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can cast party members from the top of your library. So you get that nice card advantage. This is a very creature-heavy deck, like I said, so you're going to be able to flip off a bunch of creatures, hopefully from the top, and gain more advantage that way. But the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain Death Touch until end of turn. So that is a nice boost to your team that your commander would already be doing as well. So just more power equals closing out the game that way. Because we have a warrior as the commander, we're going to be able to access the ability to have a warrior on the field pretty often. So I went very light on the warrior package. We only have 2. We have Harbor Recruiter, a 3-mana 3/1 flying human warrior. Whenever it attacks, you look at the top 4 cards, and you can reveal a party member creature type from among them, put them into your hand, and the rest in your bottom of the library random order. So she helps you find more creatures of your type that you're looking for. Help fill in that wizard gap you might be missing or something like that. We also do have a squad commander for 4-mana 3/3. When he enters the battlefield, he comes with a warrior for each creature in your party. These are usually just going to end up being token blockers because you're going to have warriors for the party anyway, including himself. But at the beginning of combat in your turn, if you have a full party, creatures you control will get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn, making fantastic attacks that way. So he helps you get that damage through a little bit as a warrior would. Lastly, we have the Cleric class. So we're going to start with Mother of Runes, classic Cleric. 1-mana 1/1, tap target creature you control, gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. Helps you get in damage, helps you protect the creature from removal, etc., etc. I don't need to explain why this one is a great choice. Next we have Rosa, Resolute White Mage. So we're going to have a 2/3 with Reach for 4-mana, Human Noble Cleric. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a 1/1 counter on target creature control, and it gains lifelink until end of turn. That is just a fantastic ability to start putting on your commander, start building up some more damage, and if it does get through, great. If not, you're gaining life in the process. So, excellent. We have a Selfless Spirit, which is a 2-mana 2/1 flyer spirit cleric, and you can sacrifice it to have creatures you control gain indestructible. Again, a fantastic ability in a creature-heavy deck because a board wipe sends you back pretty far, so having the ability to protect your board when you need it is great. Just know it is telegraphed since it's on the field. We're going to have an Archivist of Ogma, also from Baldur's Gate, another great card. 2-mana 2/2 with Flash. Whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Again, any green shenanigans where they go search for lands or tutors or fetches, anything like that, fantastic. Draw a card and gain a life. Always going to be good. I believe less than, no, 2 more. Frontline Medic is going to be a 3-mana 3/3 human cleric. Whenever he and at least 2 other creatures you control attack, creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn, so similar to the squad commander. But you can also sacrifice it to counter a spell with X in its mana cost unless they pay an additional 3. So also nice slowing effect on the field for that. And probably one of the best clerics in this deck is Vito, Thorn of the Dusk Rose. 3-mana 1/3 vampire cleric. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life, and you can pay 5 to have all your creatures gain lifelink until end of turn. This can close out games. This can utilize that life gain that you're getting from clerics to help push damage through, or even double it in a lot of cases. So fantastic cleric in that sense. And then I also have Adept Water Shaper. It is a 3 mana, 3/4 Merfolk cleric. Other tapped creatures you control have indestructible. Now, admittedly, our commander does have vigilance, but he also has a fantastic first strike and menace aspect to him. So he's usually going to end up helping getting through a little bit more than the other creatures. So this more or less just helps protect the rest of the party if they decide to go in for an attack. So very decent cleric there. Now, that's not all the creatures that we have. There are going to be some others, but I want to point out some of the party synergies in particular that I've included in this package. I think anytime you're building a party deck, you have to include this card despite its price tag of Black Market Connections. 3 mana enchantment. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you do have to choose one or more. You can choose to pay 1 life to create a treasure, pay 2 life to draw a card, or pay 3 life to create a 3/2 colorless shapeshifter creature token with Changeling. This is great because it will help you fill any of your missing party member slots, but notably, just because it is all party member creature types at the same time, that will not fill your entire party with just the 1 creature. It does have to be 4 separate creatures to fill the 4 separate roles. So, very fantastic to help you fill in those gaps, as well as card draw and ramp. Next, we have Deadly Alliance, which is a kill spell that is a little overcosted at 5 mana, but helps you destroy a target creature or planeswalker, and it's reduced for each creature in your party. So you can potentially get this down to just 1 black mana for instant speed kill spell. Not bad at all. We also have a version of a tutor in that sense with Coveted Prize. It costs 1 less for each party member, and it's 5 and just a 1 black pip. But you can search your library for any card, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. If you have a full party, you can cast a spell with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Again, our overall deck is going to be very low mana cost, so you'll be able to likely cast almost anything you need to with that. A lot of utility creatures, so that's probably what you're going to search anyway. 1 card in particular you might search for, I will cover in a minute. Spoils of Adventure is similar, but it will be a white and a blue if you have a full party, but you get to gain 3 life and draw 3 cards at instant speed, so that's always nice. Card draw is a little lacking in this deck because of the theming I had to throw in here, so having more and more card draw is always nice. We have our board wipe that's very specific to us of Stick Together for 5 mana, sorcery. Each player chooses a party from among creatures they control, then sacrifices the rest. So for you, you would choose 1 warrior, 1 rogue, 1 cleric, and 1 warrior, right? I said warrior. Wizard. There we go. But the point being is, unless your opponents have one of these creature types, they're likely going to have to sacrifice all the creatures. If they do happen to have a couple wizards, they only get to keep 1. It's 1 creature type per creature they own. So that's interesting in how that works. It's usually a pretty one-sided sacrifice style board wipe, which is usually really great. So fantastic board wipe for you, not so much for the others. And speaking of killing your creatures, how about getting them back? Thwart the Grave can reduce your casting cost for each party member, but it'd be double black if you get it to the lowest. You return up to 1 target card and 1 other target party member from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you can get anything out of the graveyard to the battlefield as well as a party member. So you're guaranteed at least 1 of anything and then 1 party member. Very fantastic. In case of a board wipe, you're starting to build up. Usually going to be in that range where you're going to have a slightly reduced cost, but it's still great. Again, I was saying that card draw was a little lacking, so I went with Phyrexian Arena just as add a little bit more card draw in that department for pretty cheap cost-wise. One of the finishers of the game is going to be Akroma's Will. This is a fantastic card. If you don't already own one, it is definitely worth the price, but it wins games. Basically makes your creatures extremely unblockable, extremely powerful, and double strike, vigilance, lifelink, indestructible, just amazing. It does kind of require you to have your commander out, but if you have your commander in a full party and less out, you're likely killing at least 1 player. So that's always cool. Nothing to close out the game there. Quickly, we'll go through the ramp package. We have your usual of Soul Ring, Felwar Stone, Arcane Signet. I do love myself a Chromatic Lantern, no matter what the internet tells me, and a Decanter of Endless Water for no max hand size. It doesn't happen often, but it can come up. Next, we're going to go to a couple of equipment that we have. The one that always matters with the party mechanic is the multi-class Baldric. Equipped creature has lifelink as long as you control a cleric, Death Touch if you control a rogue, Haste if you control a warrior, and Flying if you control a wizard. If you have a full party, you prevent all damage that would be dealt to equipped creature, and it equips for just 2, and it's a 1-mana artifact itself. So that's a fantastic party member equipment. Next, we have Basilisk Collard with Death Touch and Lifelink. This is fantastic for our commander as well because of the first strike, as well as having Lifelink on a pretty beefy commander is always nice as well. You can also give this to the Destined Black Mage, and he will appreciate the lifelink from that as well whenever you're casting a non-creature spell. Then finally we have Swiftfoot Boots, a solid, just general protect your stuff and have a hasty creature, because why not? This is going to be one of the second and last packages we're going to talk about. These are things that help the party that aren't directly party members themselves. So we have Maskwood Nexus, which makes it so all of your creatures are all creature types at the same time, and it can pay 3 to create a shapeshifter with Changeling as well. So this makes it so that if you have 4 creatures on the field, great, you have the entire party already set and done. Similarly, we have a Changeling Outcast, which is a Changeling. It can't block and be blocked for just a 1/1 for 1. So it fills in that party member slot as well as benefits from being unblockable with your commander's full party ability. One of the best not party members is Burikos, Party Leader. Despite being an orc, it is all 4 of the creature types as well. And then when it attacks, defending player loses X life, and you create X treasure tokens, or X is the number of creatures in your party. So this can only ever go up to 4, but it automatically makes it so that it fills the slot itself. So that's always nice. Just find a good way to protect this and let it get in for some damage without worrying about the crackback, and you're great. We have an Unsettled Mariner. It's a Changeling 2/2 for 2. This essentially gives all of your permanents Ward 1. I don't know if this has ever been eroded or ever will be, but essentially that is what the effect does. Next we have an Irregular Cohort, which is 4 mana for 2/2, but it has Changeling, and when it enters the battlefield, it comes with a Changeling creature token. So you're getting 2 creatures for the price of 1, and they're both Changelings, meaning both or all of the creature types that you were looking for in the first place. So that helps with getting that party out a little bit faster. We also have a Mirror Entity, which also does help with the creature problem we might have. It is a Changeling itself, but it's a 3 mana 1/1. Pay X until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. So this helps boost any low power creatures you might have in your party that you're trying to swing in damage with, as well as turns everything you control into all creature types. So meaning, again, you have 4 creatures, congrats, you now have a full party. So that helps with that. And this is one of the last cards I wanted to talk about in this stack. He is not a party member. This is Audric Lunarch Marshal, 4 mana for 3/3 human soldier. But again, with other cards like Maskwood Nexus or the Mirror Entity, he could become a party member himself. But at the beginning of combat, creatures you control gain first strike if you control a creature with first strike. Same is true for Flying, Death Touch, Double Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Skulk, Trample, and Vigilance. Notably, our commander has 3 amazing keywords himself, and most of the party members also have a neat little keyword like Death Touch and Lifelink that you would love to be able to give every single party member, especially with a +3/+0 boost. So having Audric on this team is pretty essential because he just makes it so that your party just does what it needs to do, especially with that commander up. Last thing I'm going to talk about is a couple of utility lands. You can build the deck however you like if you choose to build the deck like this, but I'm going to exclude lands that are, basics or just color fixing. You can customize this however you want. You can make it a budget build, you can make it expensive as you want with duels and shocks and fetches, so it's up to you. I will be specifically just talking about the utility lands. So first off, we have Vault of the Archangel. Taps for a colorless, or you can pay 4 into it. Creatures you control gain Death Touch and Lifelink until end of turn. Again, great with the commander. Having the First Strike and Death Touch combo is great. And if you are buffing the entire team, having that Lifelink is also fantastic. Mutavault is a nice land that helps you get out of a pinch if necessary. You can tap for a colorless, or you can pay a colorless into it, have it become a 2/2 with all creature types until end of turn. It's still a land. In a pinch, you can use that mana it produces into itself to turn itself into a creature so that you have the full party, even though it won't be able to attack itself. I just find it as a nice get out of jail free card for your making the full party, because again, this deck really relies on you having the full party. We have War Room, which is not bad, is a decent card in a 3-color, but I really prefer it in the either mono or 2-color decks, because you pay 3 and tap it, pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity, draw a card. Nice little way to draw cards in a pinch, but that's about all it is. And lastly, we have Rogue's Passage. I mean, we got Rogues, how could we not? Pay 4, tap this, target creature can't be blocked this turn. There is always a case where your opponent's board is massive and you just need to get some damage through. That is a nice little way to do so. So, that is my Destined Party deck. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more of my decks, please let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe with your friends. And I will be happy to show off another deck and how I built it on the next video. Thank you very much. Goodbye.